All right, on this episode of Bouts Talking Bouts, excited to be talking to an individual coming off of quite the emphatic victory at BYB 14 Carolina Brawl and captured interim gold in doing so on the December 9th card, getting that unanimous decision over Laurent T. Nelson, and happy to be welcoming Sam Liera onto the show. How's the day going so far there, man?
Everything's going good so far.
And imagine you're feeling pretty good 5-0 as a bare knuckle boxer now. You have three finishes and everything like that, really shown a lot of skills. Like, how are you feeling after that last win there?
The last win, I mean, I felt great. I wanted to end it, but the eye poke kind of like changed everything. After that, I couldn't. Then it just took my mind off the fight really, and I was so worried about my eye.
I mean, I think it kind of like added to the story of the fight almost, though. Like, I get what you're saying, but I felt like overcoming that eye poke and then the pair of knockdowns in the fifth, I think it really like added a bunch of extra layers to the story and everything like that. Like, what were your thoughts on the entire fight? Because it seemed like an incredible action fight for the fans. Like, what's it like, I guess, physically, emotionally, etc., going through a fight like that?
Well, I was actually having a lot of fun during the fight. Everything was great. I mean, I wanted to finish it, but I mean, things changed, and I mean, it was a good fight. Laurent's a really tough guy. I give it to him; he was really tough. He just kept coming, and during the whole fight, I mean, like I said, I was having a lot of fun until like once he poked my eye, then I was just angry, frustrated, and a bunch of other things.
Yeah, and you got some interim gold in that last one, as I mentioned, and you've kind of been in that general space for a little while now. Like, you were supposed to fight the champion Jose Fernandez at BYB 11 in August. So what's it like getting some semblance of gold, having been in that title picture for a little bit now? Like, it seemed like a good amount of the year you've been kind of in that, like, title contender kind of picture.
Yeah, I mean, it feels great, winning the belt, the interim belt for BYB. I really appreciate it. I worked really hard. I was happy afterwards, but what's called? I mean, I feel even more happier when I actually win the actual, like when I actually beat the actual champion. Because he's the one that has it, and that's. You're not the champion until you actually beat the champion. It's not the same as I'm a champion until like I beat the actual champion for the actual belt.
Yeah, and it seems like, at least from my vantage point, like there's no real clear idea of like when he's looking to come back necessarily. Like, do you have any insight on that Jose Fernandez fight, like when that unification bout could happen in 2023?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I talked to Hernandez. We talk here and there. He's a really nice guy, respectful guy. I mean, right now, I just tell him, just heal up. I don't think he's going to be ready to fight till maybe like late next year. I'm not sure. In my opinion, he doesn't say much. He just says like, "With my shoulder, I'm just doing therapy." And I tell him, "I do all the therapy you need to do. Get better. I want you 100%. Whenever you're ready and you're healed up, let's have some fun."
Yeah, and there's a lot of ingredients for why that would be a good fight. It's cool. There's that like mutual kind of respect dynamic, but it seems like you guys have been on like a similar path for a little bit. Like, when he became the first ever super middleweight champion, you were also getting a victory at BYB 9. So it seems like there's, a lot of that kind of in this fight, like a lot of like narrative that could play into this fight beyond it just being like a really exciting fight.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's been in it for a while. I don't even know. I think he started before me. Maybe I'm not really quite sure. I really don't pay attention too much. They say, "We're gonna fight this guy." Okay, I'll go. I'll fight that guy. That's it. I think he might have started before me. I'm not really quite sure, but like I said, they just tell me who to fight. I said, okay, that's it.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it seems like there was like, I mean, I guess a certain level of damage, I guess probably minimal relative to like the kind of fight you had though, but it seemed like you were getting some x-rays done and everything like that, and it seemed like you shattered the finger. Like, obviously the shattering the finger is serious enough, but was there like more injuries beyond that, or?
No, it was just a finger. That's the worst of it. But like I said, like the worst of it for me was the eye poke. That was the worst I've never felt that in my life. Like, that was the worst thing for me.
Like, just in terms of like all the fights you've had, like that was like the most debilitating eye poke.
Yeah, because even when I fought Ryan Jett, he poked my eye, but he scratched my eye. But this one, I actually, it wasn't like a scratch or a paw or anything like that. He actually, it was like an actual jab, and actually went inside the corner of my eye. I tried to dodge it. I saw the fingers coming, I dodged it, but the pinky went right in the corner of my eye, and it went inside, so that freaked me out.
Have you gotten the eye looked at post fight at all, or?
I got it looked at this week. They told me it wasn't that bad. They said it could have been worse. Like for me, the hardest thing, like I think about, even during the fight and after the fight, I couldn't really see. I couldn't open my eyes all the way. Like the sun really hurt my eyes, so I kind of walked. Like somebody kind of helped me walk a little bit. I had to keep my head down. But they told me it's fine. That there's no detached retina, nothing like that, and there's like no really big damage. Just let it heal.
And I guess I'm wondering, like, obviously the finger got shattered there, but I was, like, hearing from some interviews, like, after the first bare knuckle fight, like, you couldn't, clutch the steering wheel and drive for, like, the next, like, couple days, 3 days even after the fact. Like, have you found, like, between each fight you're able to, I guess, minimize the damage to your hand? Like, I know, obviously, this was a war and, like, there was damage sustained, but do you feel like you've been able to, like, I guess pull back on that a little bit, like subvert the damage as you get more experienced on the bare knuckle circuit, or is it just kind of part of the combat sport in general?
I think it's part of the combat sport. You say try to be cautious, but like for me, I was going 100%. I was punching to like finish him. I wasn't like no punch that I threw was like a light punch. Everything I did was to knock him out. It wasn't like I don't want to hurt my hands. Like whatever. If they break, they break. Whatever. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, I guess I'm wondering because you're like getting to the point where you're being like one of the more experienced kind of fighters on the circuit there and everything like that. And I mean, yeah, that was definitely a war, and a lot of outlets are kind of like talking about it as being like one of the top bare knuckle fights, not even just of the year, but in what we've seen since it's become like revitalized on the scene in the last few years. Like, how do you feel about those kind of accolades? Like, I guess people talking about your performance on that kind of level just being one of the better fights of the year and just one of the more enjoyable bare knuckle fights that there's been since it's like really returned to prominence.
Honestly, like I mean, it's good. Like people say, "Oh, it was the fight of the year." I mean, it was the fight of the year. I mean, because my thing, like I don't like to stand there and like get hit in the face. I like to move around. I think it was the fight of the year because I think afterwards I just stood there because I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna swing like crazy. I don't even care. And it just turned into a brawl instead of a technical fight. It was, to me, it was more of a brawl afterwards. I think that's why it's like the fight of the year because I just stood right there. He stood right there. We started swinging, and then till somebody dropped, I guess.
Yeah, and cool that it's kind of part of that like expansion of the sport too, just in the sense of it being like that first ever like bare knuckle fighting event in South Carolina. Like it must have been kind of cool being a part of that, at least on the level of like the sport growing more and more.
Yeah, I mean, it was great having a fight in South Carolina. I mean, to them, I think I met some people afterwards that said, dude, it was a great fight. We glad you guys came here. I mean, to me, it was really exciting. Like, it was the first show, and I'm glad I was able to put a really good show for them. And, when we got fight of me and LT got the fight of the night, and, people really respected us afterwards, and they were happy that we came and we fought there, and we put a great performance.
Yeah, it seems like your approach really lends itself well to the Trigon, and I was checking out an interview you did after BYB 9 where it seems like you very much enjoy fighting in the Trigon. Like, what is it about the dimensions of the BYB Mighty Trigon do you think lend itself well to your fighting style? Because obviously the success is there, but you're also...
Wait, and like kind of recover a little bit. All you could do is adjust, do little movements, or work on the clinch. I mean, I like fighting from the clinch. I don't mind it. And it helps me out a lot, just like doing little small movements enough for me like to get my angles to punch and the guy like, well, I can't run, that he can't run. It's not, we don't have too much time between us, like a big break. You don't have a big break. You just have a little movement and just go right away. You don't have the guy running around. He doesn't chase them. That's the best part.
Yeah, no doubt. And it seems like, at least in past, you've gotten in work at like CSW training headquarters. Have you mostly been working with them ahead of this particular fight, like the last one?
I've been going to CSW. I go spar with the guys and we do wrestling because and because the triathlon we could clinch and everything, so that way we don't get tired as much. But I've been working a lot there, and I've been going a lot more to the box training center in Costa Mesa with my coaches Renee, Martito, and Soto Caraz. So that's where I've been going more with boxing, and I've been boxing a lot with my friend Tony. He's been there every day sparring with me.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because I was reading some articles and it was saying like more in like the late 2000s you were working at like LA boxing and stuff like that too. Like, have you, I guess in bare knuckle, found you've been doing a lot more of the boxing because it's so stand up centric there?
Well, funny story. The reason I started, I went into bare knuckle boxing because during COVID you couldn't do MMA. Like it was really hard to do MMA. So and then who was it? Mel called me. He goes, "Do you want to do bare knuckle?" I'm like. Before, I would be like, I would never, ever do that. That's dumb. I would never do that. And then, there was no fight, and I was fresh. You train, you want to fight. So when he called me, like, you know what, let's do it. And then once I did it, it was the most fun thing. I was like, dude, how would I not want to do this? This is, like, so much fun. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, look at where you're at now. Like, I mean, it's been, a little bit since you've gotten back into MMA. Like, it seems like you've mostly been like taken to the bare knuckle a fair bit. Do you think like from here on out it'll mostly be about the bare knuckle, or could you see yourself doing some more like MMA going forward?
Honestly, right now I just see myself doing bare knuckle. MMA, I mean, I would like to do MMA again, but like honestly, I'm really happy doing bare knuckle. It's really fun and I really enjoy it. I mean, I'm already 39. I mean, how much longer can I fight?
I mean, that's fair. I guess I've just heard that kind of lends itself well to the longevity. Like, I've heard a lot of, like, experienced MMA guys, and I think you fit that bill, too. You've had, like, around 25 pro fights from what I was seeing, like, fought in Strikeforce, and, I mean, you definitely have a resume in that kind of lane, and you hear about a lot of the established MMA guys going to bare knuckle and talking about it being a lot easier on the body. Like, there's not that wear and tear from, like, the long wrestling sessions and things like that. So have you also found that in bare knuckle, like it's a little more forgiving on the body and kind of mindful of that sort of longevity?
Kind of. I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, it's more like kind of pleasant on the hands. I think that's the most, like, the worst of it is just the hands. But like MMA, I mean, I don't have to worry about knee injuries, anything else, injuries like that. Right now, bare knuckle, all I worry about is just my hands. That's about it. And how bad my face looks afterwards. Other than that, it's not that bad.
I would think a bit of a curious thing to prepare for, too, just because of the prevalence of cuts and stuff like that. And, like, you can't really drill it in, like, a sparring kind of context because of that. So, like, how do you navigate, like, preparing for that? Like, making sure you're, I guess, like, fight ready. I mean, you have, like, the depth of experience before, so I would think but in the context of that sparring work that you can't really get as you can in maybe other combat sports.
Well, the sparring, I still keep it the same. I go spar with MMA gloves at CSW, just to get like kind of like not wear the gloves. And then when I go spar boxing gloves, I always train the same with boxing gloves and MMA gloves. I don't think I'm going to be sparring with anybody bare knuckle. I mean, I think we tried one time to go light, and then it doesn't end up going light. It goes like maybe for about like maybe 10, 15 seconds. Somebody gets hit, then they start going hard. So I think we just keep it with the gloves is good.
Yeah, for sure. And this next one's kind of a random question, but just thought to ask because I was noticing your debut bare knuckle opponent was Leo Pla, and I just saw he won on that, King of the Streets circuit. I'm curious if you've seen any of their stuff and what are your thoughts on like King of the Streets, because it's pretty intense for sure.
Yeah, I think I saw it on my feed on Facebook. I don't really go on social media much, but I saw it on my feed. I saw it. I'm like, that's a little crazy, But I mean, Leo Pla is a tough guy. I'll give it up to him. He's doing everything, and I mean, the people enjoy doing it. It's good for them, But like, I think I stick to bare knuckle boxing. I think I'm good.
Yeah, kind of a wild sort of thing. I've talked to one of the guys from that circuit, and I mean, I feel like I still have so many questions about the whole thing. A little intense for sure. But one other thing I wanted to mention while I still had you, I thought it was kind of cool that just the way this interview timed out, it's actually a decade since you captured the King of the Cage welterweight championship over David Gomez. So I thought that was kind of cool, like getting that victory December 2012 there.
Yeah, I mean, to me that was like a really exciting fight. I was nervous, really nervous. But what's it called? That one I was really happy I won that belt. I was super excited. Gomez was a really tough guy, and he's a brawler. And like I said, it was a fun fight. And I worked really hard, and I came on top.
Yeah, for sure. Cool seeing you collecting gold back then, and these years later too. And I mean, a looming title unification fight, so seeming like a good time in a lot of regards. But I mean, speaking of being good with your time, that's something you've been with me, and I appreciate you coming on the show and giving some great insights after this last fight. But I also, want to be mindful of the rest of your schedule today too there, Sam. So is there anything that you might want to add as a parting thought as we're kind of wrapping up here?
Oh, no, I'd say, thank you for the interview. I really appreciate it. And thanks to everybody who watched the fight. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. We try to put on a show for you guys. And, thanks to everybody and my sponsors, everybody, Kessler's, CSW, the Den Training Center, the Box Training Center, Massage Matters, House West Minister, what's it called, Casa Fresh, and Jose Connection. Thank you very much, and thanks everybody for the support, and hope to see you guys again soon.
Yeah, for sure. That was a great late inductee for the fight of the year, or a great contender at the very least for one of the best fights of the year with Laurent T. Nelson there. So yeah, big shout out for that one there, and getting the dub at BYB 14. But to reiterate, thanks for coming on the show and giving some great insights, man. You enjoy the rest of your day there, and just happy holidays too.
Happy to see you too, man. Everybody, take care.